Welcome. You are watching one of my premium interviews in this issue of the House of Preeminence. I'm Jenny P, founder of the House of Preeminence. Today, I am extremely honored to be showcasing one of the most pioneering and effective change makers out there on the planet, because a lot of people are talking about being a change maker, but this lady truly does walk her talk. We are going to be talking to Dame, newly knighted, I believe, Dame Natalie Ledwell. You will probably have heard of her name. If you don't know her, you have heard her name in connection with the immensely successful visualization and manifestation tool, Mind Movies. She has changed the lives of over 5.8 million people on the planet. So she really, truly is a change maker. She also does a lot of work behind the Mind Movies in helping children across the world and helping them to visualize a new future. So I just got goosebumps when I said that. So I'm so honored to welcome you, Natalie.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. So today I just thought I'd talk a little bit about my story, how I got to doing this kind of work, and then talk about some of the principles that I still use to create this incredible life that I get to live, which is amazing. So I really did come from very humble beginnings. I grew up as one of 8 children in a country town in Australia. And so now I live in between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. I have a beautiful life where, like you said, I've reached, nearly 6 million people. And my first US school started teaching my curriculum 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we've got now cracked into the US schooling system, which is amazing. This life really, my main message that I talk about is the law of attraction, how to manifest what it is that you want. And my ex-husband and I, we're still business partners, but we were serial entrepreneurs. We had 20 different types of businesses over the years. And I think that we were always like a car up on a jack, and the wheels were spinning, but we weren't getting anywhere. We had a lot of business acumen. We had a lot of business experience. Action was never a problem for us. We were always, we're GSD, we just get stuff done, and we've always been like that. And I remember in 2006, we had 4 businesses we're running at the same time, working really long hours, and, financially still struggling. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm missing some vital piece of information here. And then a friend suggested that I order a DVD online called The Secret. And when we sat down to watch that movie, it's a Saturday afternoon, we're in our living room in Sydney, and we're both looking at this movie and then looking at each other going, what? I'm like, where is this information being? Like, I'd never heard of the law of attraction before. And I was an avid student of personal development from the age of 21. And I'm what am I at this stage? I'm like 38 or something. Like, it's, I'm like, how did I miss this? But once we started to apply the principles of the law of attraction to our business acumen and our business experience, well, that's when we got quantum success. That's when we got, like, everything just changed. And, we understood that, to be able to create what we wanted, we had to be able to visualize and see ourselves already there. But not just that, we had to feel the emotions of what it was like to already be there. And a friend of ours showed us this little movie that he'd created, and it was, PowerPoint slides with affirmations on them. And in between the PowerPoint slides was a photo that kind of matched the affirmation, and music. And this was his version of a vision board, and the purpose of a Mind Mover vision board is to make it easier for us to be able to visualize and see ourselves in that future. And so after, I'm like, okay, you got to show me how to make these. he then approached Glenn and I and said, look, let's go into business together. Let's set up a website. We'd give instructions so people around the world can create these movies for themselves. And I mean, not only did we have 4 businesses and no time, but we knew nothing about the internet. So much so that Glenn could hardly turn on a computer. I hadn't even heard of YouTube. And this is 2007. And so, our friends like, it's all right, I'll teach you. So we spent probably, I think $2,000 was our investment. And we put a little video up on YouTube, and then within months we were getting so many emails from people saying, look, this is changing my life. And I'm like, all right, boys, we need to get serious about this. Like, what's this? How do we do the internet thing? And then we realized that you can actually purchase programs online that would teach you how to do that. And so, by the time we get to 2008, we're making a serious commitment to launching this idea to the world. We ended up coming to the US to attend an internet marketing seminar in April of 2008. At that seminar, we were accepted into the man who was running that event. His name was Frank Kern, who's a legend in internet marketing circles. We were accepted into his mastermind group. And then all of the people that we met in San Diego at that time were all internet marketers. And so we just became little sponges. And for 6 months, we worked, 10, 12-hour days from the bedroom in this little apartment that we'd rented underneath the flight path of San Diego Airport, because it's what we could afford at the time, and just worked our tails off, to launch this idea to the world. We didn't really have money to pay anyone else, so we had to learn everything ourselves. And by the time we got to the morning of the launch in September of 2008, we'd actually accumulated $120,000 in credit cards. So we were risking everything. And of course, that happened to be the day that we realized there's an economic crisis going on in the world. So we're like, eek, what does that mean? We're like, hope that's, it's not affecting the launch. So that particular launch, even though everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong, there were so many things. Our account was frozen, our email account was shut down because our opt-ins were coming in too fast. They thought we were doing something illegal. The same company shut down for maintenance the morning of the launch. No one was getting confirmation emails. So there's just so many things that were going wrong. But we ended up doing like a $700,000 launch, saying a little $100 program. And that's kind of what put us on the map. So it's interesting because at the times that we're in right now with COVID and what's happening with the economy, it's like, well, we were born in a time like this. And so, we're in a position where we can really help a lot of people because, we don't just have the one little program anymore. We have so many different things that can really help people so much. So we're in a great position to be able to be of service and to be able to help a lot of people around the world because we're already online and we've already got our systems and everything in place. So, we're very, very fortunate about that.
So we really are on the cusp of a new paradigm as COVID has forced us all to take a big deep breath and look at the way we're living our lives and the effect that has on the planet. So with companies crumbling, with companies putting all their employees to home, like stay-at-home life has become the new normal. Many people are out of work. I mean, we're still in the middle of this crazy wild ride. So I totally know that is the ideal time to start to reinvent ourselves or to continue to reinvent ourselves. But it's so that is one of the themes of this issue is reinventing yourself. And this is a perfect time to take stock of life as it has been up to now, because we all know that we've been up against some struggles and some challenges and some pressure and some and to really tap into deepest universal wisdom, good, because it just never fails. it never fails, and re-find the confidence to make a new vision for yourself. Actually get the vision board back out and start to look at it afresh with new eyes and new ideas, and say, okay, well, maybe I've been an entrepreneur traveling around the world doing events and speaking and doing this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden I've got nothing. This is just such an amazing time to take stock and really lean into, for me, Natalie, it's always to be led by the heart.
Yes.
to your heart is your leader to your North Star. So, and one thing that I love about mind movies is that, so many people think that they know about all the law of attraction, or they know how to work the law of attraction, but the fact is there's a lot of people struggling. There's a lot of people struggling. So you're going to take us through some steps, and just so I've just set the context where you can just share with us why the work that you do is so timely.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to share a little story about reinventing ourselves, and I'm going to go into like 6 steps to manifesting, which are 6 proven steps. If you apply them, then Bob's your uncle. But I think that the biggest reinvention time for me was the end of my marriage. And so Glenn and I were married for 20 years, and our life was amazing. Mind Movies was a massive success. We were living, between Australia and the US, and an endless summer, and traveling the world, and it was amazing. But we were starting to drift apart, and and I think it was because I had been changing so much. I mean, I was really stepping into this role of being a transformational leader. I was definitely getting a lot more deeper into my spiritual practice, and there was different things that I wanted. And Glenn, bless him, has consistently shown up as the same person since I met when I was 25 years old, which I love that about him, but that's not what I wanted anymore. So when we first, separated, I remember like that first week, obviously it's pretty tough, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know who I am without him. Like, it's been Glenn and Nat for so long, and we've always been that high profile couple, and I'm like, I can't even see life. It was just crazy. But after about 4 mornings of going out and walking every morning and listening to a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, which I remember on the 4th morning this coming through, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something like how this is a moment in time, and it's one of millions of moments that you will be experiencing in your life. When we get to be the ones who decide how we choose to look at this moment, how we perceive it, how long we allow it to affect us moving forward, and what we do with this moment. And that's when I went, oh, so the question isn't, who am I without him? The question is, who do I want to be? Because now I have this incredible opportunity to reinvent myself. I can, I'm stepping out, and I'm more fortunate than most. I have a great platform. I have a successful business. I could really live anywhere I want. So really the world is my oyster. So now, I had to step out of the, because when I'm looking at the who am I and how poor is me, I'm in the victim part of that story. And that when I stay in the victim side of that story, I'm tethered to that event, and it stops me from moving forward. But as soon as I can release that and go, ooh, well, who do I want to be? And now I get to reinvent. And this is a perfect time for all of us. I mean, the whole world is being put on pause. It's a forced pause for most of us. And it's an opportunity for us to really go, well, is that was I happy with the way I was living my life? A lot of the theme of the new students and members I have coming into my programs at the moment is that they're sick of feeling like they're a puppet, like they have no control. And the thing is, we don't have full control over a whole lot of things, but what we do have control over are our thoughts, our emotions, and how we're choosing to experience this moment. So it's an opportune, like a most opportune time to be able to look at how we want to do that. So, if you get into this, well, okay, well, what do I want? Where do I want to go? How do I make that happen? these 6 steps of manifesting is like just a proven formula for me that I use all of the time. And the first step is, what I call getting into your happy place. So for us to be able to see ourselves, living the optimal version of the health that we want, or the relationship, or the money, or the career that we want, we have to be in a higher frequency emotion to be able to see that. If we're looking at the problem and we're still in the frustration or the impatience or the helplessness, then at best we might see ourselves out of our situation. We don't want to just we don't want to get a solution to the challenge in front of us. We want to go, what is, possible? And so, we want to be in these higher frequency emotions, things like, happiness, joy, gratitude, accomplishment, pride, courage, these higher frequencies. So when we talk about the law of attraction, what we know that everything is made of energy and it's all vibrating at different frequencies. Now we know that when we're vibrating at the same frequency of the things that we want to create, then it's easier for things to get attracted to us, that we need to make it happen. So how do we become a vibrational match? What is our vibration? Well, our vibration are our emotions. That's the frequency that we send out, which is why, we want to be in these high frequency emotions. And when you can maintain that for most of the time, that's how we get into flow. Things just seem to go, everything kind of works out for me. It's because you're always in this higher frequency. So it's easy for things to flow to you. Now, the fastest way to get to your happy place for me is definitely gratitude, and having a practice of gratitude where you're, writing in a journal that, you have a couple of times throughout the day. Maybe there's an exercise. For me, it's taking my dog for a walk. That's when I drop into my gratefuls. That's just my, my little anchor for that. And just, having a practice where you're doing this, throughout the day. So step number 1 is to get into your happy place. Step number 2 is to set your intention. So your intention is really just a 2-sentence statement. And the first sentence starts with no matter what. And then you are like, I have an outrageously successful business. I have a beautiful, loving, supporting relationship. I have optimal health with vitality and energy. So whatever that is, you want to try and use some descriptive words here, some emotional words, because remember, the emotions, our frequency, everything that we do on the manifestation process, it's not just the action that you take, but it's how you feel when you do it. Because we want to be that vibration that's going to be attracting what we want. So, no matter what, I have this. And then the second sentence starts with, this enables me to. This enables me to vacation with my family, send my kids to college, travel the world, whatever that is, give to charities. So, it's the first sentence is what it is that you have, and the second sentence is why you want it. Okay. So I normally, when I'm setting a new intention for a new goal that I'm working towards, I'll write this out, I stick it on the mirror. And then in the mornings when I get up, I am looking myself in the eye, and with all of the conviction and resolve that I can muster, I am saying that intention statement, looking at myself in the eyes. And that it's putting the universe on alert. It's putting like every fiber of your being is going, this is happening. This is going down. It's going to happen.
That's intentional. That's
super intentional. So that's step number 2 is set your intention. Step number 3 is to get clear about what it is that you want. So I always recommend, yes, create a vision board or create a mind movie, or at the very least, write out some affirmations of what it is that you want to create. And the things that you want to think about when you're writing this list or creating that little visual tool is, what it is that you want, what life looks like once you have it. Because that's kind of the juice. That's what you'll be using for your visualization. So what life looks like, why you want it, because that helps you to keep motivated and keep moving through as you hit your challenges. What kind of actions you want to be taking. So you might need to make some changes to your daily practice, or, there's something that you want to start doing to elicit this. And the last type of affirmation I recommend is what I call your thought affirmations. So how do you need to change the way you think to be able to become the person who's stepping into this loving, enriched, successful life that you're creating. Because if our thoughts and our actions have got us to this point, and this point is not quite where we want to go, or this is what you're looking at is not, where you want to be, then how do you need to change that? And how we need to change the way that we think. And you may be aware of some negative thoughts that are coming up for you, that little voice inside your head that gives you all the reasons why you cannot be successful, which are all tied to beliefs that we picked up, along the way. But if you're aware of those, you go, okay, well, I don't want to think those. They're sabotaging me. So what am I going to replace those thoughts with? Which is a really good way to do that. So get clear, write your affirmations, do your vision board, or your mind movie, whatever that is. So that's step number 3. So step number 4 is to visualize. So we need to see ourselves already there. The most effective way to visualize is that rather than seeing yourself as a character in a movie in your mind, you want to actually put yourself in a particular scene. So, you're using all of your senses. So for mine, which actually is about to come true next week, one of my visualizations is really bringing in my love. And I made 3 new mind movies this year, and all of them have already manifested. And one of them is a relationship, a loving relationship. And so I in my visualization, and what I recommend is you just choose one moment, just one scene, rather than trying to think of all these different things, and just put yourself in that moment. And in that moment, I'm on the beach and I'm laying on a deck. I can feel the deck chair underneath my back. I can feel the warmth of the sun on my skin. I can smell the ocean and hear the waves crashing. And I'm reaching across this cold glass of pina colada, and I can taste the coconut and the pineapple. And then I'm holding my partner's hand, and I'm feeling so much contentment and so much love in that moment, that it is so real to my subconscious mind, it really doesn't know the difference. And so my man and I are going on a little road trip next week, and we're heading up the coast, up to Monterey and everything. And he's already booked something on the beach. I'm like, yep, that's what I saw.
He's found the best pina colada already.
Yeah. So that's step number 4. You want to be really visualizing on a regular basis as often as you can. You don't have to necessarily be sitting down in like a meditative state. You could be daydreaming with intention. You could be cleaning the house and vacuuming, and then in your mind, you're already there and, in your future. So as often as you can do that, the more we get to reprogram our mind, so it's got more thoughts that are in alignment with that. So then the next step 5 is obviously to take action. You got to be moving. You've got to be, the most vivid visualization sitting on the couch are not going to do anything for you. You have to be in the right place at the right time. You've got to be making things happen. And it doesn't matter what kind of action that you're taking, because all action will always lead to where it is that you're going to go. You have to have some direction in which you'll start in. And it may not be the direction that you end up on, but it will always lead you to where you need to go. So, that's super important. And then step number 6 is the hardest one. It's taken me years to master this, because knowing it intellectually is one thing, but then actually embodying it and living from this space is something completely different. And it's what I call surrender. So we have to surrender, even though we've done all the previous 5 steps, and we've got the visualization and we know what we're doing and watching the mind movie. We have to surrender into knowing that, we don't know how it's going to happen. And we don't really know exactly what it's going to look like when it shows up. And we also have to surrender into knowing that everything's happening in divine timing exactly when it's supposed to. And so even though we really want something to be into fruition in reality now, but it's not here yet, there's a reason for that. And we have to surrender into knowing that there is a design there is divine intention, and it's okay. So it's like we have to set all these goals, and then we have to kind of release, and yes, we're taking action or whatever, but we can't be too attached to how it looks like and how it's going to happen and all of those kind of things, because that just shuts off our flow from the universe. We just have to surrender into knowing that it's all okay, and that everything that's happening is really happening for our highest good. So, and when you can live from that place, when things show up that are not what we planned or what we thought was going to happen, you're like, okay, well, I wonder what I'm meant to learn from this. Or I wonder why, well, how this showed up, or what is the meaning of this? Or, should I be changing direction? And so rather than it derailing you, you're just like, interesting. Why is this showing up? And then it never stops your momentum and actually helps you to keep forward. And it keeps you in those higher frequency emotions. So it's not like you're cutting off the flow between you and the universe.
I have a lovely expression for that state, Natalie, and I call it passionate detachment.
I love it.
Detachment is because they're both so powerful and they're alongside each other, whereby you're going, you've got a very strong intention, you've got a big dream, and at the same time, you're not attached to the outcome. There's no resistance. There's no resistance, and you're not looking at it not being here. Yeah. So passionate detachment has served me, continues to serve me all the time. Every single day I work in passionate detachment, and I know these principles work because I've been also working the law of attraction since before I even heard of the term as well, and I know that the biggest breakthroughs that I started to find in my life was when I started to live from the place of your dream or your aspiration, instead of trying to get to it.
Yes.
So that you organize your day as if, and I began that habit about 2000, or about 20 years ago, when I'd set my heart on fulfilling one of my longest and most deepest dreams, which was to dance with horses. And I said to my partner at the time, when we were talking about it, I dance with horses. And he said, no, you don't. You're lying. Why are you lying? I said, I do. In here, I do. In here, I do. And within a very short space of time, I had a little white horse. Within a few years, I trained myself. I trained with masters to dance with my horse, and it's one of my biggest dream manifestations was actually to perform as a professional cabaret artist under a big top with my horse. So I know that these principles work, and the way that you've described them is just so clear and beautiful and succinct, and makes you want to dive into them all over again, even for those of us who have been practicing for a long time. Yeah. And I love that you still do them. I love that you put that Post-it note on the mirror and do that every morning, because it's a proof of the pudding when an expert on a topic will actually keep doing the practice. So beautiful.
Yeah, well, I mean, my movies are really fun to put together, and the process of creating a My Movie is not just the technical side of things and putting together something like that's fun and so forth, but it's actually the act of getting deeper into, well, yes, I want a relationship, but what does that look like? What is that? Yes, I want to create wealth, but what does that mean to me? What does that look like to me? Especially when it comes to wealth, it's like, when you're visualizing, you're not visualizing a pile of cash. That's not evoking any kind of emotion. But what are you doing with the money that's going to invoke all that emotion in you? And diving deeper in those kind of things. Like I said, I've created 3 new My Movies this year. One was around business, one was around relationship, and one was around health. And so, like I said, all 3 of these health I'm still working on, but I've got a personal training now and things are going great, and I'm just about at my goal. So it'll be a very short period of time. But with relationship and business, I've far surpassed what I was expecting. And that's part of the whole, being clear about what you want. And for me, it's, when I'm creating my affirmations and my mind movie, I don't get too specific, because that's not, operating from surrender. I'm like, yes, I want a relationship that, that my partner has time and money freedom, and you know, and that we get to travel, and that we get to spend time, and you know, these are our values, and these things are important to us. And someone who like absolutely fits that description has shown up. And even when I wasn't looking, and it's like, yes, this is, you know, and I was busy with other things, but then he was able to show up, and he's more than what I bargained for. So, you know, it's, you know, when you can do that and go through that process of making a mind movie, it's about what that means to you. And, you know, the song, the music that you choose, because yes, we have the photos and the affirmations, but the music is, you know, that's the secret sauce.
Yes.
Talk about, you know, something that
it evokes the emotions.
Absolutely.
Straight to the heart and the soul and the cells.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have the song that I used for my very first mind maybe back in 2006 that I created was a song called Clocks by Coldplay. And I get goosebumps even thinking about that song. That song, I can't listen to it and not be in tears, because it was the beginning of this beautiful, incredible life that I get to live, that I'm grateful that I get to live every day. Yeah.
Well, gratitude is, of course, that the other main vibe of this edition of the House of Preeminence, and this is going to be we're going to be reaching people towards the end of the year, Natalie, who are, because we're creating our future now today. So people are going to be focused on 2021 and really reinventing themselves, as this is such an amazing time. So we are going to put in all of the links for Mind Movies. This is a perfect time, just on the cusp of a new year, before you set your goals, and especially with so much upheaval. And you know, I think I don't know if you would agree, but now I feel like setting our as we've you know had 2020 a bit messed up, we're really going to be very sensitive to how we see 2021 unfolding for us. And so I think there's going to be a lot more people actually really thinking deeply about their goals and their visions. So Mind Movies is the most perfect tool for this coming preparation, this transition.
Yeah.
And I cannot recommend it highly enough.
Yeah, well, we want to give as a gift to all the, you know, the readers and viewers of Preeminence, a gift of 6 pre-made Mind Movies. And so, you know, these are on, you know, confidence, on creating wealth, on relationships. And even though they're quite generic, they once you start watching them, you start to see yourself in this future, and you start to go, okay, well, with wealth, this is what this means to me. And it gives you a great idea and a starting place for you to be able to go, okay, but not just out of your situation, but if 2021 is going to be your best year, because we've all, you know, got to, you know, hunker down and kind of prepare and everything this year, next year we get to spread our wings. Well, then what can that look like? And these Mind Movies will give you a really good starting point of how you want to start designing your 2021.
I'm excited.
Yay.
I want to start already. I want to start now. I'm excited. Yes. Well, you know, they say that that you should remain a student all your life, and I certainly, you know, am totally open to because you can never stop, can you? You never stop this beautiful process of creating your life, because it's just as continual unfolding.
Yeah.
So
and I think through the different areas of our life, there are different things that we can expand into. You know,
sure.
Like there are certain things that I'm learning and expanding and releasing about myself when it comes into stepping up in my business. You know, my first US school started, you know, 2 weeks ago. So there was a lot that I had to work on myself to be able to step into the responsibility of that. You know, when I'm looking at me in relationship, and then there's all these things that I, you know, need to release and understand and step into there. So all these different life areas are like a catalyst for us to be able to go, oh, okay, well, this has come up, or this is triggered, or these are thoughts are coming through. This is not what I want to think. And it just helps us to be able to expand into a bigger, better, brighter version of ourselves.
Well, that's what the House of Preeminence is all about, and I love that. I love that. I think that's a beautiful point to conclude with, is that you might think that you have one particular or several areas of your life kind of sorted, but there are always, we've always different areas that we need to work on, and I love that, the way that you've broken those down, so that you're saying, okay, well, that, I need to improve my financial life, or else I need to improve my body, or I want to grow into this kind of business leader. So there is a mind movie for every time, in actual fact, every phase.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming, and really, I love your grounding energy. I love the way you ground this for us, and demystify what a lot of people struggle with. And I'm going to be very, very, very excited to share this with our audience. So
Awesome.
thank you, Natalie.
Thank you so much.